There's too many people that are isolated in trying to do good work for God. They're all trying to figure out how to market Catholicism in a fresh way that actually engages people.
So we tried it the first year, had tremendous success.
It's exciting. I'm having fun. I'm meeting a lot of really great people.
I have been to all of these shows over the last year, and by far this is my favorite.
I want to emphasize the importance of what you're doing as lay apostles in the CMN.
The Catholic Marketing Network has a service that the marketplace needs and the church needs.
There's the distribution of a lot of Catholic religious items, but most of the people you talk to, they say, we really come for the networking.
It's a great joy to be here. In fact, it was almost 10 years ago that I came to the Catholic Marketing Network for the first time. There was a friend and I putting out sacred music. St. Ignatius Press picked it up and they showcased us, and before you know it, we had sold 20,000 copies to people like you. And that sprungboard a company that now has reach in about 8 different countries.
I found really good and very interesting because I like when people come from everywhere and we can learn a lot. We come to show something, but they show us too. So that's amazing.
This is always one of my favorite events.
I always love coming here and being here because it's such a synergy to be around like-minded people with the same ideals, the same love for the church. So it's beautiful.
Welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. This is a show all about implanting hope in our hearts. I'm Bill Snyder, joined by my friend Ann DeSantis. We're glad you're here for our uplifting conversation about faith and how it sustains our hearts through all the seasons of life. Thanks for walking with us. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. I am Bill Snyder. It's great to be with you and be here on this Tuesday evening with you. I'm always blessed to be joined by my co-host and good friend, Ann DeSantis. Here we are. Once again, Ann, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Bill. It's great to be here. I'm excited for the show.
Yeah, I always am too. It's definitely a joy in my life. With all the crazy things going on, it's always a joy to be able to talk to our listeners and to you. So I'm excited about tonight's show, and I know we have a great guest, so why don't you tell us a little bit about her?
Yeah, absolutely. We have with us Liz Hagedorn. She is the Executive Director for the Archdiocesan Nutritional Development Services in the Philadelphia area, in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And I'm really excited to have her here. So welcome, Liz. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here with you.
Yes, likewise. And you're doing amazing work. And you were introduced to me through the Catholic Charities Appeal, as I am a board member, and was hearing so much about the great work that you are doing through the Nutritional Development Services that you are the executive director for in our archdiocese. So Why don't we start out with, if we could, your own faith journey, anything that you want to share. I know that you're originally from the Philadelphia area and that you're a native Philadelphian from the Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish, and you grew up in Roxborough, and that you're the sixth of 7 children. Let's start there.
Yeah, that always in itself says a lot about someone, I think. Yes, I grew up in the Roxborough area, was educated in Catholic elementary school and Catholic high school, and I went to a Catholic college. Wonderful parents, very faith-filled and service-oriented parents. And I just wanted to take all the wonderful things that I had in my life and wanted to share that with those who do not have the same. So that's really where my drive comes from, to be in this kind of work. I've been with Nutritional Development Services since I was an intern at St. Joe's University. And I got a full-time job here and never left. And it is the work that keeps me here, that inspires me every day. I'm really glad, and it's a blessing to do something that you really love. And I guess that's why I'm doing it for so long.
Yeah, I thank you so much for the great work that you're doing. And I will admit, I'm looking at an article about you and your role there from CatholicPhilly.com. It's from a few years back, but it says that your sense of social justice was nurtured at the former Ravenhill Academy, which was conducted by the Religious of the Assumption, and you represented her school at the 1975 Beatification of the now Saint Marie Eugene Melleray. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The congregation's foundress. So tell us more about that as well.
Oh yeah, that was really exciting. When I believe it was a sophomore in high school, Mother Marie Eugenie de Melleray was to be beatified, and I was chosen by the students, among the students, to represent our school at the beatification ceremony in Rome. The Religious of the Assumption are an international order, well known in Europe and in the Philippines and other parts of South Asia. And their American province was not that big. However, the experience was incredible, as there were many days of meeting other students, other Assumption students from around the world. And it's these sisters who came from all over the world that taught at Ravenhill, instilled in us the broader look at the global view of things, that growing up in the United States in the 60s and 70s, you think that you're the cat's meow. You know, the U.S. was everything. It was a world power. But these sisters influenced me to look beyond myself and our country to see the suffering and the needs across the world. And so that had a profound effect on me in what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so interesting. And what was that like? What was the papal experience? I obviously have never been to a canonization or a beatification. What was that experience like? You know, actually seeing the Pope, you know, declare this person a saint. I mean, you know, that's got to be just powerful just to watch that.
Oh, it is a moment that I will never forget. In St. Peter's, they hang a picture of the person to be beatified from part of the wall. And you can only imagine how huge it must be for everyone to see it. And when that was unfurled and when the Mass began, and there were participants from all over the world inside, it took my breath away. It really was one of those moments that you just felt so much unity and solidarity and thought that you could do anything. You know, anything good in the world, you have the power to do it. You could really feel the spirit. And I was able, I believe it was back in 2005 when Marie Eugenie was declared a saint. And I was able to attend that with my daughter, with my oldest daughter. And that was held outside in the square, pouring rain. And despite all of that, the Holy Father sitting out there, he was covered, not in the elements. But again, it just is something that you really think you could only experience once in a lifetime. And I had the honor to experience that kind of spiritual renewal twice. So it really just amazing. You can only imagine as a 16-year-old girl what that was like to travel to Europe for the first time.
Wow.
Without her parents and in the care of some of the sisters, and we stayed at some of the convents throughout. So it was really it sounds like something from the movies, like The Trouble with Angels or something like that. But it was magnificent.
Well, great job, I have to say. And I know that you're a very humble person and you're doing God's work, but I do want to say great job to you for the work that you've done and for your, wonderful faith journey that you're sharing with us. And I also want to invite people that if they can go on to CatholicPhilly.com and simply look up your name, Liz Hagedorn, that they can see and read this article that explains a little bit more about what we're talking about here on this podcast. Now, it says that in that article that after Ravenhill that you entered what was then called St. Joseph's College, right? It wasn't the university yet. And its food marketing program. Tell us about that experience.
Sure. Well, the Academy of Food Marketing, which is that part of St. Joe's that has this curriculum, food marketing, I was attracted to it. The Jesuits and were very progressive in the area of social justice. And they have this very haunting mural in the library there of world hunger. And it was something that just always struck me. And so that influenced me to study food marketing, going into it thinking that I would be working on the topics of hunger and sustainability and how to get food to where people need it. And food marketing could be that, but it was a business course, a study, and it was more geared toward people who would be selling and merchandising food for the large companies like Procter & Gamble or Kraft or other big food suppliers. So I took the course of study. It was very interesting, but I knew that isn't what I wanted to do because I still felt that I was being called to do more than just go into supermarkets and try and sell the general managers on what products they should have on their shelves. So when I was a senior at St. Joe's, there was a job posting for an internship here at Nutritional Development Services, and I applied for it and got the position. Not that there was much competition at that time, but it was something more like what I wanted to do with my life, and that was to see if we could make a difference when it comes to food. And so armed with a little bit of education and naivety and all those good things, I came to NDS. And at that time, NDS, I came in 1979, and NDS was incorporated in 1973. So it really wasn't that old a program at that time. So I was here a little bit after, and it was starting to get rolling with taking on more programs and more projects. So I ensconced myself here at NDS. I've worn many hats while I have been here this tenure. And back in 2017, I was made the executive director. But have loved every minute of it.
Amazing. Wow, you've had quite a journey. And I'm reading here about you that it says in the same article that I'm referring to on Catholic Philly, that your role has been behind the scenes in such necessary matters as administration, accounting, and regulatory compliance. Wondered if you could talk a little bit about those areas.
Sure. Well, when I came on to NDS, I was assisting with the business end of things with the accounting, though I did not have an accounting degree at that time. And I eventually took over the finances. And during this time, NDS was growing. Every year, it was increasing its reach in the communities and in the number of people that it served. And primarily, NDS was founded to assist people to have access to food, especially children. And one of the biggest programs that NDS runs today and has run for a long time are what are called the child nutrition programs. These are federally funded programs that come out of the United States Department of Agriculture, are administered through the state of Pennsylvania, and sponsors like NDS are entrusted to make sure that children in different locations, schools, child care centers, after-school programs, residential child care centers, and even shelters have access to meals that meet certain requirements. So we are a conduit for federal funds to make sure that those in need, especially children, can get the food that they need to grow and to develop. So I have run programs. I have all along, I pretty much have been in the back room doing the accounting. And with federal programs, there's an awful lot of compliance and regulation that must be met as part of taking receipt of the federal dollars. So that sometimes becomes larger than life. You know, you're just trying to feed children, and you have to be concerned about other things that don't necessarily seem as important, but all in all, that is the service that we provide to many schools, to daycare centers, after-school programs, and the like.
Yeah, I love to hear the work that you're doing because, you know, there's nothing really more important than getting those basic needs met, right? I mean,
exactly.
Just as it says in the book of Matthew 25, which I always refer to that, is that, you know, the idea of that feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, clothing the naked. I mean, that's exactly what you're doing, especially when it comes in terms of the feeding, right?
Yeah.
And you have such great experience now. In looking at this article again, I know that you went to St. Joe's College, now university, right? But then after that, you attended, you have your MBA from Drexel, and you're a senior, and I don't know if you still are, because this article's a couple years old, but a senior fellow at the University of Pennsylvania's program for research on religion and urban civil society. Can you tell us a little bit about those experiences?
Yes. For a period of time, well, first of all, I pursued my MBA, just knowing that it would be helpful in the work that I saw ahead. And then when Nutritional Development Services was housed out at 38th and Chestnut for about 20 years, we worked closely with a number of the people at the University of Pennsylvania and also the Penn Newman Center, which was right next door. And they became very involved in all of the work that not only NDS, but the Catholic Church does on behalf of the community. And so for a period of time there, I was a fellow as part of the Fox Leadership Program there at the University of Pennsylvania. There are some wonderful professors there who really recognize the value and the and you could say value and also dollars that the Catholic agencies like Nutritional Development Services actually put into the communities to help folks. And so trying to quantify that was part of a project. So it has been a wonderful experience, and in exchange for that, NDS has gotten every summer a couple of interns from the University of Pennsylvania who help us with our summer program. And like always, young people bring a lot of vigor and a lot of great ideas. So we're very grateful for that relationship that still exists today.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's a great way to get young people involved in the church. I always think about service opportunities, especially in my youth and young adulthood, that really formed me as a Catholic and as a person. And so, getting college students to help you with the summer programming, and really help you. It also not only builds, your organization, but it also helps those college students have a sense of service, have a sense of helping others that also, much like yourself, sticks with you for the remainder of your life. So that's beautiful. Maybe you want to touch a little bit about the summer program, knowing that it is summer now. Maybe you want to just tell us a little bit about that summer program and what it does.
Sure, I'd love to. When I started with NDS, the summer program was one of my favorites. We've been running it, I think, since maybe the late 70s. We started the summer program. So the whole idea, and again, this is a federally funded program, but the whole idea is that when children are out of school, they miss out on the meals and the nutrition that they would be receiving if they were in school. So the summer program was enacted by Congress to make up that difference for many children across the nation who really didn't have access to good food when school was out. So at one point, NDS, well, even today, COVID has really managed to upend a lot of things. I think we're starting to go back to normal. But prior to COVID, NDS sponsored close to 400 different feeding sites out within the Philadelphia 5-county area. We would deliver meals out to our partners there. Our partners could be Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, churches, community groups, someone who is interested in just feeding children on their block, Bible camps, any type of organized group. We would work with them to make sure that they could get breakfast and lunch or lunch and a snack for the children that come to them for programming. Since COVID, things have been different. However, we are still supplying partners in the community with meals where children or parents could come and grab and go. They could get 7 breakfast and 7 lunch to go and take it home and have it for the week. And we're starting to see the summer camps start back now with the vaccine rolling out and people feeling more confident about having their children out with other children and adults. So that's what we do in the summer. And of course, it's a lighter program in the sense that the regulations aren't as intense as they are in the schools and child care centers. The children get a terrific variety of food that meet the requirements for their vitamins, for their minerals, limiting sodium, trans fats, and calories. So it's just a wonderful service that we can bring to anyone. So anyone can come to any children can come to any one of these sites and receive a breakfast and lunch or something to eat. And that's the beauty of these programs. And I have to remind everyone that these programs are funded with our tax dollars. and knowing the regulations that surround them, we really try to do the best job that we can utilizing the funds that we receive and making sure that the meals, the food that's put out there for the children is something that they will eat and be nourished by.
Yeah, that's so important too, and talking about nutrition, especially, and I think that's was the focus of a lot of news stories on the evening news. I know it was here in Milwaukee for me. Quite often in Milwaukee, they would say, especially over the course of the pandemic, make sure you're eating healthy, make sure you're not gaining weight, make sure you're not doing these things, and so it's so important that there are organizations out there like yours, and again, having those federal dollars supporting that effort to put healthy meals in kids' hands is so important. And I think the work you're doing is such important work, but it's also, I think, the educational piece and enabling kids to eat healthy and show them that the food probably still tastes pretty good is important,
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the children's preferences are funny. There was a period of time where no matter what the food was, they just wanted to put ranch dressing on it. There are some things you have to temper with trying to get them to eat, or at least to taste. I think they're saying that it takes, I think it's about 9 times for a child to taste something before they really can make a decision on whether they really like it or not, despite what they do when they first eat something they don't like, which is spit it out. But you have to keep introducing foods to children as well as in fun ways, educate them as to what foods do for them and why they are good for them and how it will help them perform. I mean, I see good nutrition and access to good food as an investment in the future.
Yeah.
Our children, so many of our children in Philadelphia, for example, probably more than almost 25% of them are children in Philadelphia are food insecure, which means that they cannot count on a consistent amount of food to have to eat each day. That some days they may have it, some days they may not have it. And that wreaks havoc with the development of children. It wreaks havoc with their emotional state. It also wreaks havoc with their emotions. And so it's so important that our children can start the day off with something in their stomach that satisfies them so they can concentrate on what it is that they're doing, being in school. During the summer, they're out playing or learning some new skills or things of that nature. So I just feel that it's so important for us to make sure that these children can start off with the right building blocks. Because as they get older and they make their own choices, we're hoping that a good amount of the choices are good choices for them and not, empty calories and very high sugar foods and things of that nature that may fill them up for the time being, but really do not contribute to their overall wellness. So, and that takes me to another point is that, and especially during the pandemic, experts are saying that they're starting to see the creep up in obesity in children. That was a big item a couple years ago, and the school lunch program and the other feeding programs were adjusted to try and do something about the high rates of obesity in our young people. And because of the pandemic and probably lack of activity and the sedentary way that the children were learning at home, they're seeing that rate is going up. So there's always work to do in trying to be harbingers of good food, good nutrition, and wellness among our young people.
Well, I must say, you're doing amazing work, and you're putting your heart into it to really care about these people and these children. And you know, that's the important thing, is that when we really humanize the work that we all do, whatever we do, and you certainly are, because you're looking at the fact that the food that these children are eating and their nutrition has a great impact on not only their lives, but on the whole, right? Because
Exactly.
when you're not being taken care of in that way, you know, obviously the first thing that suffers is your health. And then the next thing, obviously, also is your emotional health too. I mean, your mental, psychological, spiritual, I mean, everything suffers when that's not being taken care of. So I just think that you're doing wonderful work. And I'm reading from that article again, that it says that our goal is to carry out our mission effectively and efficiently. We must use the resources we're given to answer people's needs. Using what we have for the greater good is what it's all about. And I love that, because it's effectively and efficiently, because also, and I must say, as a board member for Catholic Charities Appeal, which I am, that's what the people who are giving towards these, toward your organization and being helped that way, is to know that that money is being used to really help people. I wondered if you could speak on that too, because I know that some people may be listening who are also donors and people who from the Catholic Charities Appeal, and maybe people from our archdiocese, to tell us, like, how that money, do you see how it's being effectively and efficiently used?
I would love to, Anne. Thank you for opening up that topic. In addition to the federal child nutrition programs, NDS also operates what we call the Community Food Program. This program is funded by Catholic Charities, and in fact, there is a special appeal that is done for the Community Food Program that has been wildly successful and so helpful to this program. So not using federal funds, using Catholic Charities, using some rice bowl money, and also donations from people, we are able to purchase and to collect food that we supply to a minimum of 50 food cupboards throughout the 5 counties. So in addition to facilitating food drives, for example, at schools and organizations where people will bring in food and then our driver will go pick it up and then take it to a cupboard, we also are able to purchase food for those people that are in the communities that are serving others that come to them. We have many Catholic churches and organizations that have food cupboards, and they can be anywhere from just a closet with food in it to a big room that has shelves and shelves of different kinds of food there. But most of that is through the generosity of the people of the Archdiocese, and we do some grant writing to supplement that. And we try and also help others with technical assistance if they want to start a food cupboard, or if they want to start a community garden, or if they need refrigeration so they can serve something for the people in the community in which they operate. So it's a wonderful program that actually began out of the Cardinals Commission of Human Relations many decades ago. And that had its start really after the Eucharistic Congress in 1976, the theme being the hungers of people. I mean, we have a spiritual hunger, and we tended to concentrate on the hunger of the human body, and knowing that hunger has to be satisfied before we can help people in other ways. As you said earlier, Anne, that helping a child or helping a family with food has such a ripple effect, not only on their health, on how they feel that day, but really how how they can contend with the rest of their days. I can only imagine, and I think of this often, and I encourage people. It's very hard for people to ask for food and to ask for help. And I really saw such great humility during this pandemic. NDS and a fair amount of its staff were able to do food distributions at different locations throughout the Archdiocese. We would give out the meal kits for children, as well as the boxes that the United States Department of Agriculture put together for people that were affected by the pandemic. And on many occasions, we had people lined up in their cars, at the gate, on foot, waiting to get food. And I mean, it was almost like, who am I? Because it could be any one of us who could have been standing at the gate or sitting in the car waiting for the distribution to begin. So it was humbling for me, and I am just so happy that people felt not embarrassed, but honored. We were honored that they came for our help, that they were the ones in need, but in a sense, they gave so much to us. I know that sounds a little strange, but when you know people who are coming through the line to get food, I mean, that's just tough to swallow. We know how hard this pandemic has been on families and individuals and elderly, especially the elderly, especially the people that can't get out to get food. So we have seen some wonderful, wonderful acts of kindness of community groups coming and getting 70 boxes of food for the old people that live in their neighborhood. People coming and getting food for families in the neighborhood. It was just really an unbelievable experience. And in all my years, I have not seen anything like that in my life, nor experienced anything like that. And it was an honor to serve in that way and to represent our church, because that's what we're supposed to do. If we have it, and even if we don't have it, we have to find the resources to get it to the people in need. And we were, as much as the pandemic was so difficult for people, it gave all of us Catholics an opportunity to help one another. I have to say that the donations that we received during that time were unbelievable. I think the fact that people really were without food really touched the heart of so many people in the Philadelphia area. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think of the scripture, just listening to you talk, I'm thinking of the scripture of James, right? The letter of St. James, chapter 2 and verse 16, or verses 15 and 16, where it says, if a brother or sister is poorly clothed and in lack of daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace and be warm and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what does it profit? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. And I just reflect on that, and especially as you were talking, because I think that it's so important that you just can't, as you mentioned, you have to feed the body before you can, draw somebody closer in their faith, and it can be, just a simple meal can be an invitation for somebody to grow deeper and go beyond. When you think about all the different people that you've shared a meal with in your life, we think of our family and Thanksgiving or Christmas. We think of maybe some strangers, some homeless people. Think about all the different people you've had meals with, and the conversation that has flowed over those meals. Now I know that what you're doing is a little different than having long sit-down meals with people and things like that. But the reality is that being able to provide that and for people to recognize and see, okay, you know what, these people care about me. They care about my body. They care about my well-being, and that can often lead to a greater faith just because of that. And so I just really I really commend you for what you're doing. But I was just reflecting on that as you were talking, because I think it's so pertinent to what exactly you are doing, and it's a good reminder for all of us that we have to put our faith into action.
Yeah, we have to put our faith into action, Bill. Well said. And Liz, thank you for all that you've shared so far on the podcast. And I think it's just a wonderful thing. I'd like to make a shout out to people who are listening to this podcast who are thinking about wanting to make some kind of a donation to a nonprofit. Well, being here in the Philadelphia area, as Liz and I are, Bill is a native of Philadelphia, but now lives in Wisconsin. The Catholic Charities Appeal is really doing exactly what you're listening to on this podcast. They're helping people to get the food, the resources, and the help that they need. So I just think it's an incredible thing of what you're doing, and serving the children and others in need with healthy food-related resources. And it is a beautiful thing that you're doing, and through the work that you are doing with NDS. Is there anything else that's going on within your work that you would like to share with those who are listening, that they can check out either online or that they can get more information?
Sure. They could come to our website, which is a long one. It's www.Nutritional Development Services, to find out more about what we're doing. And of course, I am always available at 215-895-3470 if anyone has any questions. I think it's so important to be available for people. I would like people who have made donations or who are thinking about donations to know that we try and use them for what they're intended. We try to be very transparent. And I would say that we're pretty much a pretty lean machine here as far as expenses and things like that. But I think that's good. That's a good thing. We know what the intention is of people that donate food to us or donate money to us. Going back to what Bill said, I mean, Bill, you're absolutely right. Even though during those food distributions where we may have served 400 or 500 people or families, it is an invitation to the table in a way. I never even thought of it until you said that. It is a way of welcoming people in, saying, here's something that we can share with you. And I'll be up front and say that it was not ours, but we are just God's hands. We are the Archbishop's hands to get food to where it is needed. And we are not the be-all and the end all in that area. There are many other activities of the Archdiocese that do fabulous work in the area of food and food insecurity and feeding, and other agencies as well. And we try to work with all of them so we can make sure that there's not duplication of services, or that we can really stretch the resources that we have. But it's just it's an amazing arena to be in, and really, I've been in it for 40 years now, and things have changed. A lot of things have changed and become much more sophisticated, and a lot of these programs were started back when there were still hippies, and the intention is still the same. It's to love God, and it's to love people. And how do you love God? You love God by doing for others. And
I agree with you completely. And it's a good point because, when we're Catholic, we can say all our prayers, we can do all the right things, but this is the part that we really need to participate in if we really are and truly Catholic, because God is telling us that we need to help to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, and all the corporal and spiritual works of mercy.
Right.
So I just congratulate you because I know this is your life mission.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I know you don't give yourself the credit. You give God the credit. And you're just doing wonderful work. Bill and I are honored to have you on this podcast, Liz. I just want to say that. And the work that you're doing. And if there's would you have any other words of advice for people who are kind of like on the fence regarding giving? Because sometimes people, when they're in terms of wanting to make some kind of a donation to a nonprofit, they're hesitant because they're afraid that the money that they're giving isn't going to go directly to the cause. I wondered if you had anything to say on that end.
I would just, if someone was interested, I would just tell them to do their due diligence.
Yes.
And as I said, I mean, if someone calls, I've had calls of people who said, I've gotten this stimulus check and I'm thinking of sending it to you. What can you tell me? And I would take the time and be frank with them. I mean, people have been so wonderful, I think, across the board during the pandemic with their generosity, not only to us, but to other organizations that are helping people who are suffering. So I would say, do what's comfortable for you, and hopefully in the end it will all work out. I truly believe that. I truly believe that the Holy Spirit has guided this office from its inception. And in difficult times, we have come through somehow, some way. So I don't know if that helps anyone who's...
No, that's great, Liz. Perfect.
But I feel that way personally, and I would say that most of my staff feel that way too. I have staff that have been here for many, many years because they really believe in the work that is being done. And one other thing, just to be businesslike about it, our office has to be audited every year by an independent accounting firm, and that information is public knowledge. You could go on and look at our 990 and see how our money is spent. And maybe that would also give some confidence if someone was thinking about donating.
Yeah, great information. So Liz, thank you so much. We're almost ready to wrap up in a little while. Is there anything else that you want to share before we end in terms of maybe some upcoming events or something that they should keep an eye on within our archdiocese?
Yes, we're hoping to continue some of the food box distributions over the summer. So I would say stay tuned to our website to see where we're going to be. And we also try and get the information out to the nearest parishes so they can have it and disseminated on their social media platforms. But we're hoping, we still know that people are suffering and that we want to continue to be there for people in that way. And again, if anyone has any needs, food-related needs, please give our office a call and we can see how we can help you. And if we can't, we will try and direct you to someone or some agency that can help you. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Liz, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us, for just your faith, your life mission, your work. It's truly been a pleasure, and I certainly wish you not only the best of luck, but I hope that God's grace is all over. I know His grace is all over the work you're doing. So may He continue just to bless that work and lift up many people through it. And as you have a wide impact on people in the greater Philadelphia area. I encourage people to reach out. Give us the website one more time, Liz, so that people can reach out to you.
Sure. It is www.nutritionaldevelopmentservices.org. All one word.
Awesome.
And we also can be found on the website of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia.
Okay, great. Nutritional Development Services, folks, please go and check it out. And what just to mention, as we also wrapping up here, I do encourage you all. You may have seen the ad at the beginning of the program for the Catholic Marketing Network. We are thrilled to be able to tell you that we are going to be, Ann and I are going to be at the Catholic Marketing Network in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is a suburb of the Chicago area, to be with a whole bunch of different organizations, Catholic organizations. It is an amazing conference. If you are looking for a conference to go learn more about your Catholic faith, here's some incredible speakers, but also connect with the marketplace, the Catholic marketplace. I encourage you to look at CatholicMarketingNetwork.com or just simply search Catholic Marketing Network on Google, and you will get a plethora of information. And of course, you'll get a chance to come over and see Ann and I at the trade show and at the exhibitor booths. But it is an amazing conference, and I do encourage everybody to look at that. It's a great weekend. Or it's not a weekend, it's actually in the middle of the week. So it's July 27th through the 29th, which is a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, just about a month away now. So if you would like to sign up for that and join us and meet us in person, know that we have some exciting stuff coming up for our people there. Our new book should be coming out as well. But Liz, thank you so much again, and look forward to maybe talking with you again, because you just have a great journey of faith and doing great work. So thank you again.
Thank you, Liz, from me as well.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Bill. It really has been an honor. God bless you, and God's richest blessings to you as well.
Amen. Well, folks, until next time, which is this Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, we encourage each and every one of you to keep fighting for your faith and, as always, beating to your Catholic hearts and sowing hope into those broken hearts out there in our world. I'm Bill Snyder. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sowing Hope on Patchwork Heart Radio. For more information about this podcast and our ministries, visit our websites, patchworkheart.org and andesantis.com. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at PWH Ministry or Ann DeSantis 2.